know we talked about it a little bit last night, but coming off, was it 4 ranked wins in 3 weeks, that feel like there's a little bit momentum going in y'all's direction?
I mean, I'd like to see us win more than, 1 or 2 games in a row. Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you win that midweek game against, especially against a good team, top-ranked team like Texas and Texas State, people are happier. I'm happier. Sky's bluer. Foods taste better. But it doesn't last long because you have to get right back in the fight. So, the challenge for us is to start putting together some weeks in which we have a winning week, or it's hard in this conference to think you're going to stretch conference win streaks of more than 3, 4, 5, 6 games, stuff like that. Hard in any conference, but for us, we need to win a series. We've lost 2 series in a row. 1 at home. We're back at home, and like you said, just finished playing a really, really good Texas State team. That's a very good super regional team, and Kentucky's playing at a high level. They competed well against Ole Miss last weekend, and wind's going to be a little different. Weather's going to be different than what we've been playing in the last couple of weeks. So we have a lot of challenges ahead of us. One less day of rest. I don't think Kentucky got their game in yesterday, so their pitching staff's very well rested. So we have a lot ahead of us.
How did it come about that Austin Bose became an option there at second base when that all kind of shuffle happened?
Well, it was a discussion in the fall. Coach Early brought it up, but he was hurt the whole fall. So he played in the infield in junior college, and we knew he was one of the few, the only really full-time returning 300 hitter from last year's team. So we knew finding him a spot on the field was going to be important. But then he got hurt, so we really didn't get to work with him, didn't get to look at him. We knew he could function in left field, DH, stuff like that. And then it was never brought up again until he brought it up to me. And that's a credit to him, and something probably I should have looked at sooner. But he just walked in my office after the Santa Clara weekend, and everybody could tell that we had Targach out at that time, and Werner and Kalai. And he just knocked on my door on a Monday or Tuesday morning, whenever it was, and said, "Coach, I can play second base." And I said, "All right, let's start hitting you some balls." And then, of course, your first game going out there to do it, it's at Alex Box Stadium in front of 10 or 11,000 people. And, he's still got some work to do, especially turning double play. But everybody keeps asking me, why has our offense been better, especially in conference play? Our offense is better because Bose can play a functional second base. If he couldn't play second base, then that would have a domino effect to other guys being in a lineup.
You want to separate ideally in these games, but you played a lot of one-run games, Coach. Are you shaking your head already? Is there a benefit to that, though, at all, or you just want to separate altogether?
I mean, there's a benefit to staying in the fight. There's a benefit to because that's what anytime you're playing. Doesn't matter what conference you're in, but especially this league, there's gonna be a lot of dog fights. I mean, going into last night in the dugout, in the coach's locker room before the game, I asked one of our coaches, like, when's the last time we just played a normal game? Like, we won 8-2, or 9-1, or 6-0, or something like that. And we had the 8-2 going for a while. When they got it to 8-2, I was like, sweet, we're going to win 8-2, and then 2 more, and then it got even a little hairier. I mean, to do that, you got to pitch, right? It comes down to pitching. And extending leads, right? So we did a good job last night of getting up by a couple and then extending that. And we had 4 innings in which we scored. I think in 2 of the innings, we went out and put up a 0. So that's not a good percentage. You want to be perfect on that, but I mean, that's how you do it, is you score and then you don't let them score and try and get back in the dugout. So, but yeah, every single game, I mean, in conference play, you could say we should be 7-2, or you could also say we could be 0-9. So yeah, I mean, I'm 51, but feel a lot older today. Well, better today after a win.
What's the key to taking that success from midweek and putting it towards the weekend? Is there any kind of magic formula for that?
Pitching. Just pitching. Yeah, I keep. I'm not trying to dodge your question, I mean, it's play really good baseball. And I think this was brought up, to me today, and I talked about it with the team last weekend, is yes, this conference is very good. It's the best of the best. The pitching is the depth of pitching in this conference, and we haven't seen the elite teams of this year yet. Like we don't play Tennessee, we haven't seen Arkansas, we haven't seen Ole Miss yet, we haven't seen the national champion, reigning national champion, but Alabama, Auburn, LSU, but especially Auburn and Alabama, every pitcher that came out of there, was low to mid 90s with real breaking ball, and it didn't matter whether they were right or left-handed. And so for us to get on that kind of roll, we're going to have to pitch like that. We're going to have to match that pitching. I guess my point was, it doesn't matter what league it's in, if you don't play good baseball, you're not going to win. And so, same in the big leagues. If you walk guys, you make errors, you give up extra bases, you're not going to win the game. And that's one frustration I had, and voiced it to the team last week, was, yeah, the SEC's good. There's more people at the games. So what? It still boils down to playing good baseball. I don't care if there's 200 or 20,000, and you still have to play good baseball. Get the outs you're supposed to get, throw the strikes you're supposed to throw. And when we do that, we give ourselves the best chance, and when we don't, you see the result.
Have you decided on the rotation for the weekend? Have you settled in yet?
Yeah, I mean, we'll be Detmer, Prager, and Dallas. Everybody has to pitch on one day's less rest. And so we'll get through this weekend, have that extra day on Sunday, and then kind of reevaluate where things are, whether we leave it the same, whether we shuffle, maybe get Micah back in the middle, which ideally I'd like to do, because I like throwing the guy who pitches the deepest into games in the middle game if there's not a big difference between number one and number two. But I'm really excited to see how Nathan Detmer pitches tomorrow, because he was awesome this past weekend, and I'm hoping that's kind of a jump in his career that he's taken, because I think he would have pitched well against any team we play.
With the big win last night, is it nice to be able to tell you guys they only have to sit on it a day and they get right back out, maybe try to carry that momentum? Yeah,
I hope so, man. Yeah, maybe you're right. I mean, 51-year-olds need more rest than 20-year-olds, but yeah, I'm excited. I thought our crowd was awesome last night for a Tuesday night. I looked, to one of our coaches during the game and said, man, when I took this job, I envisioned, having not just a good team, having a great team, and seeing this place with, building a stadium that has 10 or 12,000 seats versus, 7 or 8. And to see the 12th man show out last night on a Tuesday night midweek game, I thought it was awesome, and just really look forward to the coming days when we can match their support with our level of play.
Speaking of crowds, it's going to be a pretty eventful weekend around here.
Yeah.
So what are you expecting as far as the crowd, and maybe some folks that haven't been able to make it out to a game?
Yeah, I think it's great. I haven't been around for spring football game, and all the other things that are going on, so we've timed all that stuff up. Luckily, Kentucky doesn't fly out till Sunday, so that's why we're able to play the game at 4 o'clock on Saturday. So hopefully that game time after the football stuff and all the other things that are going on, softball I believe is going on, maybe track, something like that. So yeah, it's a good weekend to be in Aggie land and see all of our teams play, and come on out, gates will be open.
Going back a little bit to the earlier, in your opinion, what's the hardest part about moving into middle infield from a guy who hasn't had at least recent experience from it?
Yeah, that's a great question. The hardest part is all of the game within the game things, and I think Austin even said after the first weekend, because we just kind of threw him out there, so cuts and relays, pickoff plays, holding runners, first and third defenses, he was like, holy cow, I had no idea. I just stand out there in left field and catch the balls that are hit to me. And so we still haven't been able to put everything in with him, trying not to put too much on him. But there's way more involved. To play in the middle of the field, you have to have a really good baseball IQ, and that's where having Kaler out there really helps him, because Cole can really coach him during the course of the inning or whatever it is. Good question, TB.
Thanks, Coach.